Hey guys,
welcome back.
And we'd like to thank you guys for just your overwhelming support, your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and even your questions.
Oh, yes.
You know, the questions. So we just want to just share a little bit about the breakup period, because that's a question that a lot of people have been asking, and the lessons that we learned from that.
But before we get into anything, I would just like to apologize for my hairdo. Today was washed for me. I shampooed, conditioned, and traced it with aloe vera gel. Trust me guys, it worked. Adds volume, it gives your hair a nice shine, and also it helps with growth. So try it out.
So stick around, and here we go.
Hey there, I'm Shamaine.
And I'm Rashad.
And we're the Prospers. So guys, just a little backtrack. We got together in 2015. Yeah, and we were in that infatuation phase, the lovey-dovey, you know, always wanting to be around each other, always calling, always texting. Rashad has actually, I don't know what you call that.
A PDF file.
A PDF file of all our texts from the start of our relationship.
It was a beautiful time. Why would I not have records of that time in our
I think
life?
you can insert a piece of it if you have it there.
I'll have to look for it.
Yeah. So, you know, we went through that phase of the relationship. And then it got to a point where one of us kind of got tired, you know, of being in the relationship.
I got tired of being in the relationship. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yes.
So we had been together for some time, and then let me share my experience.
Yeah.
Around 2018, early 2017, you know, we started having this just, I wouldn't call it conflict, but we started, well, I can speak for myself. I had started losing interest in the relationship. Now, at that time, we had been together for a couple of years, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, you guys are the awesome couple, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, there was a thing about Shimin that was starting to kind of get under my skin. I felt like, you know, she was very
boring.
Yeah, that's actually the word that I used. And I had find myself losing interest in her. So I remember that we ended up well, she came to St. Lucia 1 year.
Okay, so let me put everything into context.
Okay.
Right? So that same year I felt the distance, and I would always ask him what's wrong, and he would not want to be around me. He would prefer to go out with his friends. He would not want to celebrate anything with me, tell me anything that's happening in his life. And I really became very, very conscious about it, and it made me very sad in the relationship. So July of that year, before we left to go on summer vacation, you know, I brought everything to him. I laid it out on the table. I'm like, babe, this has been happening. I realize that you're not the same as you were before with me, what's happening and whatever. And I was supposed to travel to St. Lucia that year to meet his family and just to see St. Lucia. The very same night, we decided to go out and talk about the situation. And apparently somebody had already made up their mind that, you know, they wanted out. So I was all happy. Oh my gosh, we're going to move forward together, boyfriend and girlfriend. We're going to work it out and work it all out, and you know, we're going to have a story to tell and whatever.
So that night, she comes off the airport, she's like, you know, we need to talk. You know, we sit down, we start talking, you know, she's expressing how she feels. And in that moment, I'm just like, well, I mean, let me just tell you how I feel. So I say, you know what you mean? I'm not really feeling this relationship, you know, can we take a break? She's like, what do you mean by a break? I'm like, okay, you know what? Can we break up? I want to break up.
That's not what he said. He actually said a break, and he doesn't know when he's coming back. That's what you said. Because that we will hear later on in the story why certain things happened. He asked for a break. And a break in my head was like, okay, you're going to take a couple of months and figure it out and come back. But apparently in his head, the break was
A breakup.
a breakup.
But the thing is, men have a way of saying what they say without meaning what they say.
And that's where communication comes
That's
in.
true,
If you
that's
don't
true.
want to be with a young lady, you come right out and you say, you know what, this is not what I want at this point in my life. I would like us to separate. Don't have her going dangling on a string saying you just want some time. Because I've seen it many times in Christian relationships and even in churches, my close friends. The guys would say, okay, give me some time to focus on myself, focus on my music, focus on this. Then tutus, the dude in a relationship with somebody else.
Actually, there's one thing that I learned, and one of the first things that I learned from that situation, as we're gonna go, we're gonna explain what we learned, but one of the first things that I learned is, and I've seen it not just in myself, but in other people, but being through that situation, I was able to really understand. A lot of times Christian guys, when they desire to end a relationship, or just guys in general, they don't outright ask for a breakup. They ask for some space,
Yes.
and then they allow the young lady to drift away so that the responsibility doesn't fall
On
solely
them.
on them.
And that's bad.
That's terrible. So it's important as young ladies, two things. One, it's important as young ladies to just know your worth, know where you stand, kind of figure out if a guy says he wants a break,
Exactly.
you have to really decide, hey, do I really want to be with you, or I'm taking that break to mean a breakup.
Yeah.
But secondly, for the young men, if you really desire a breakup from the relationship, don't have the young lady think it's a break and then allow the responsibility to fall on her shoulders.
Or have her dragging behind you and
Yeah.
begging and waiting for you to come back. That's not cool and that's not Christ-like at
So
all.
just make your decision and just say it as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with breaking up a relationship. It's better to break up a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship than to now get married to somebody and end up
Being unhappy.
and trying to figure out divorce. And that's not something that's,
Yeah.
that's not something that Christianity encourages. That's not something that I think that a marriage should ever move towards, So that's that. So then after that, we separated and we took time off and
So then, this young lady, in her head, like I was saying, at that time I was so young and a bit gullible, that's the word. Like, I didn't know that he meant that he doesn't want the relationship. I just thought that he wanted some time to think and then he'll come back. So 1 month passed, nothing. He was just so cold. So your girl, after she finished her vacation in St. Lucia,
even before she finished the vacation, that vacation was terrible.
do you know why it was terrible? Because in this young man's head, it was a breakup. So for me, like I said, it was just a little, bump in the road that he has to figure himself out and come back. So I thought, that you would still, be associated and be known as the boyfriend girlfriend. So my guy introduced me as his friend everywhere we went. Hey, this is my friend from St. Vincent. He already threw me out of the window. This is my friend from St. Vincent. Going to all of his church friends, all the church events, all the church activities. He's my friend from St. Vincent. Your girl was embarrassed. Your girl was... That was the most horrible experience of my life, So, like...
And then even after that, we went back to Cuba and my attitude towards her had just changed. I would be treating her badly in public and she would want to just kind of mend things, and then I was just kind of so cold, even around our classmates, and it was a tough time.
And another point to note was that because I didn't know my worth as a young lady, as in Christ, I felt like it was hard for me to go, back into the world, back into my life as a single woman after being in a relationship so long with somebody. I kept telling myself, you know what, everybody knows that we're together. Now I have to go back to being single and explaining to everybody, what happened and why we broke up. And me and myself, I really didn't even understood why we broke up in the first place. I didn't even understood. He never gave me an explanation as to why. Understand, right? Like, he never gave me a clear explanation as to why he broke up. He just asked for the space. That was it. So I was questioning myself as a young lady, what is it about me that he didn't like? And I kept asking him, what do you want me to change? What are the things that you don't like? And I never got a response. And I kept running after him for months, running after him. I even went on a 7-day prayer and fast, praying for the boy to come back to me. Lord, if it is your will, bring him back.
Maybe that's why I felt the tug and the pull to come back.
But the more I prayed, is the further away he drew from me. Like, that's the reality of it. The more I prayed, the further.
Because it wasn't just by praying. These you have to fast as well.
And I did all of that.
She
and
did.
The lesson that I learned from that is when a door closes in your life, just let it go, let it be, and let God take control. You don't know what God is saving you from, and you don't know what God has in store for you. Please don't be like me and throw your worth out of the window, because first of all, you're a daughter of the King. You are royalty. You are worth more than anything else in this world. You are worth dying for. Like, a man came on this world and he died for you.
That's true.
That should be most important to you, that even though the man leaves or whoever closes the door on you, that Jesus is there and he loves you above all else. And I wish that I had that in the back of my mind at that age, than to have myself go through that and begging boy to come back and all of these nonsense there.
But yeah, so during that time, I also kind of started talking to other people. I was like, well, I'm single. So, these other young ladies in Christ are also single. I can just talk to them and I started getting close to some people. And, she was still there. All the girls that I spoke to, they were back home, but Shumin was the one who was there in Cuba. So I would see her every day. We had classes together.
And you would try to avoid me so much.
But ultimately, we had ended up like solidifying our breakup. And then around
the breakup never solidified.
In your mind?
In my mind. So what happened
and
after that?
I thought I was broken up for like 6 months. But Shumin.
So what happened is that I think the December, we broke up the July. So the December, I remember correctly, December 25th.
Hold on, before we get to December, that Christmas I went to the States to spend time with my family. But before that, around October, November, Shumin had started getting close to this guy. They started talking as friends, whatnot. I'm out there playing no mind, be like, well, I want to be single, so she's allowed to be single. Then I went to visit my family in December, and it was in that December when I was just away from everybody and just alone with my thoughts and just praying, and that's when I really decided to pray about it. And then I felt in my heart that Shumin was the one for me. Like, at that moment, I knew it. But at that time, she was really close to this other guy.
So he is there praying and whatever. I already gave up on the prayer I was praying months ago for God to send him back. And I said to myself, you know what, girl, stop being people's fool and move on with your life. And that was the wrong thing that I did. And in me trying to move on, I started to get close. I started getting close to another guy. Lesson learned here. When you are going through heartbreak, when you are going through tough times, ladies, avoid confiding, avoid spending time with the opposite sex, because trust me, feelings will develop. At that point, you are vulnerable and you are open to almost anything. So it may be something innocent. You just start talking to the guy about whatever happened and venting, and soon he will be consoling you, and he himself will start developing feelings. And at that point, when you're going through situations like that, my advice to you is to spend time in the presence of God. Allow God to fill you, because you're going through a period of hurt. And if you're going to go to man to look for help, men, women, I'm speaking in general, you won't receive the help that you need. You need to be healed spiritually. Only God can give you that sort of closure and that sort of healing that you need. So, advice, pray and fast. speak to a woman of God, a woman who, somebody that is,
older, more experienced.
Older, yes, has more experience, somebody that is spiritually stronger than you, who can offer you good advice and pray for you. Don't go to your girlfriends. What kind of advice are going to give to you?
Well,
there are some that would give you really
true.
good advice. I have friends like that, like Ali. Right? Ali would always be unbiased. I can go to about any situation and she would give me her honest opinion. So if you have friends like that, then that's okay. But if you don't, like I said, check for the older, more experienced woman, and don't be ashamed about anything. You be open. That's how you will receive help. You be open and don't hide things from them.
And even, and even as men, it's important to have, just like what Shemaine was saying, a friend that you can confide in to tell you what it is. Like, that summer when I came home, I had spoken to some of my buddies, and they're like, Rashad, you need to stop it. You have this track record of liking and then easily distracting and going somewhere else. They're like, you told us so much about this girl, how much you love her, blah, 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 back in 2015, 2016. Now you're all about, man, I don't feel like this relationship is for me, man, But anyway, so fast forward quickly, because it's getting a little dark.
Yeah.
Fast forward quickly to January 1st, January 2nd. Your boy out here prayed to God, my heart is renewed, I'm coming to get my woman back. She's been trying for 6 months. I have not been giving her the respect that she deserved. But I'm out there thinking, you know what? Her heart is still in my direction. I can just win her back. So I came down. I'm just like, you know what? Hey.
But your girl's heart was somewhere else, where it was not supposed to be. And in the process, I ended up hurting that guy because I was stuck between Rashad and the guy. And then I was thinking to myself, do I stick to what I know, which is Rashad, or move on with the new? And trust me, that is wrong. I should not have placed myself in that situation in the first place. I'm going to a situation like that, run to God, run for the help that I need. Ended up hurting the guy badly because then I decided to, go back to Rashad. Because one night I was praying and I remembered that time I was praying and fast after he broke up with me. I remember the prayer telling God, Lord, if he is the one, bring him back to me. And I did not wait. I prayed for 1 month, I prayed for 2 months, and I saw nothing. So I stopped and I did what I wanted to do.
But at the same time, on the flip side to that, this is just me thinking that, especially advice to young women, there comes a point in time where you have to just cut your losses and be like, listen, I've prayed, it's been 2 months, this guy isn't, well, not even 2 months, 2 months I find was a long time. I've prayed, I've told God I really want to work this. It's been a few weeks, this guy is still not changing his mind. Time for me to cut my losses and move on. I think
not move on to a next guy.
No, move on with my life.
Yes.
I think one of the things that kind of, looking back at the situation, kind of really made me feel a little sad was the fact that you held on for so long. Yeah. Granted, I'm happy that it happened, but looking now at what it did to her, holding on to the hope of something being something in a relationship that was not a marriage, it put a lot of stress on her personally, and she started personality-wise, she started changing a bit. She started becoming a little bit more callous, so even when we got back into the relationship, I had a lot of work to do. And even during all of that work, we might even have to do a part 2 because it's getting dark, but we got back into the relationship and that hole in the relationship had never mended. So from 2018, we got back in the relationship 2019, and up until 2022, we still had a huge gap in the relationship that was formed, a huge chasm in the relationship that was formed because we had never dealt with that.
It's like after I decided to, I never forgave him. That's another thing. I never ever forgave him.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, more than that. I just buried it under the rug and 19, I just jumped
20.
back. Stop. I just buried it and I just moved back into the relationship like nothing ever happened, and we just continued, and that was so wrong. In order to heal you have to deal with the situation head on.
Like that. In order to heal, you have to deal.
Yeah, in order to heal, you have to deal. And that is important. You sit down, and we're all adults. You sit down and you lay everything on the table and you have open, honest discussion.
That's true. But, for me, as a young man going through that situation, what I really realize is that, especially in the church, we have a lot of young Christian men who are very lackadaisical about their intentions. They want to be with a young lady, but then they're like, oh, I want you to be my wife, but then they're not willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And then when it comes now time to say they don't want to be in a relationship, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's okay to break up a relationship, that's fine. But when you're doing it, be a man of integrity when you do it. Don't tell the girl, well, you know what, I just want a little break. And that's one of the things that I regret. I didn't respect Shemaine enough to say, Shemaine, this is what I want. Full stop. I am making the decision myself to end this relationship. Instead of, I want a break and we'll kind of see what happens. And then, if you don't want to be in a relationship with me, you can just end things yourself.
Yeah. And then an advice that I would give to my younger self and to young women and even single women who are dating is know your worth and have standards. If you don't have standards, you would fall for anything that comes.
That's true.
Because I did not know my worth, I kept running after him. Like he said, after 2 months or 2 weeks, I should have cut that and move on with myself.
That's true.
And the other thing is that as young people, we have this jumping kangaroo dating mentality going on where you always have to be in a relationship. Once one door closed, you go to another one. That is recipe for disaster. It's okay to be single. Take time to know yourself. A lot of us, we've been in relationships for so long, jumping in and out, that we don't even know ourselves.
That's very true.
What do I like to do? What do I like to eat? Do I take time with my thoughts? Do I think for myself? It's like some of us, we can't even answer those simple questions. What's my favorite brand? What's my favorite author? What's my favorite movie? All we can answer is my guy's favorite movie or that guy's favorite movie. We have to know ourselves, ladies. Take time to know yourself. Spend time alone. Spend time also in intimate relationship with God, building your relationship with God. Because the stronger your relationship with God and the more you get to know God, is the more He would show you these red flags in these guys. Trust me. So that's my simple advice to us today.
We're even reminded of the story of David. David spent a lot of time by himself working on his ability as a shepherd. He fought the bears, he fought the lions. So when David came now to the battlefield and they're like, we need somebody to fight Goliath, David's like, me. And everybody's like, yo, listen, you little boy have had no experience in relationships. You've had no experience in marriages. You've had no experience in anything. Who are you to come tell me? But not knowing that this person was somebody that suffered a heartbreak. But then they turned to God. They spent time with God. God taught them now how to deal with these things, how to maneuver these situations. So now when a bigger situation comes, where they're about to get married and there's a situation in their marriage now, they have invaluable advice that people who have been married for 20 years may not have even learned as yet.
True.
So, I mean, that's pretty much in a nutshell. There's so much more we can talk about that story and a lot of things that we learned. But guys, we just want to thank you so much for just sitting out here with us on the couch.
Send us your questions, send us your thoughts, send us other topics. We're trying to go through all the requests that you guys made. So that's why we focus on this particular topic for today. And I would also like to, us to have a little sit down as well about having standards in relationships.
That's true, because a lot of the questions that came up were actually about sex and how we dealt with sex and like sexual purity. I remember there was a question that had said, did you guys have sex before marriage?
And the thing is, sex is so taboo in our churches. Nobody wants to touch the topic of sex. But it's something that young people, we struggle with so much. And I think that we need to be more open about it.
So in our next video, we're going to sit down and talk about our experience with sex and sexual purity in the relationship up until marriage and how the dynamic has changed since we got married.
Yes. So thank you guys, for watching, for being on the chair with us today. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and put God first in everything that you do. Know your worth, young ladies and young men.
That's true.
Be intentional about
your decisions.
Yes.
All right, so guys, for those of you who haven't yet checked out our first video, you're welcome to check it out right up here. I'm just trying this thing to see if it actually works, but right up here.
Yeah.
And see you guys next time.
Bye bye.